Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 203 of the High Sensitivity Podcast, and thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news as well as what we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, along with my, what did I put? Fellow Outer Rim Outlaws.
Okay.
Ooh, okay. My name is Craig of the Hut. Nice to meet you all.
Wow. My name is also Craig, currently in my Fallout shelter, avoiding the storm.
There we go, nice Fallout reference.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with just the TV show getting all the good reviews.
Yep.
And that leads straight into news, which we can talk about just first thing up, I guess.
Yeah, let's go.
Fallout on Prime is getting really good reviews. Have any of you guys seen it yet? Watched any episodes?
Watch the first 2 episodes. Yep.
I haven't had a chance to see it yet, no.
I'm going to watch it after the Masters. That was my goal after
It's
this.
fair. Masters is a big deal.
Okay.
It is.
Yep.
It is. And then I'll kind of just bounce around to some of the other stuff that I have here. Game Informer is back to doing a subscription base for their own magazine. They've been doing this for, yes, a physical one.
Okay.
So here's the thing. I guess enough people got, I know I usually get mine through GameStop, and GameStop has not been sending any of the physical stuff. Like, I haven't gotten it for years now. So what they're doing is it's 10 issues for a year, which is $19.94 is what they're doing the subscription service as. And they announced it, I think, a couple weeks ago, but I just want to bring light to it. As someone who's a big fan of what Game Informer represents, like if you like the physical magazine, you want to have it, you like the cover art and the cover stories they do, try to support them. 10 issues for $19.94 is not a bad deal at all. And
no, it's not.
For pretty high quality gaming stuff and reviews. I love flipping through those things and just seeing and reading what they have.
I'll definitely subscribe it. That'll take me back. Are you being attacked?
I don't know. I think either my lights flickered or I'm going or I'm
it's already starting.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Or I'm hallucinating from the Dayquil.
Fair. Hopped up on Dayquil over here.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll definitely subscribe. There's something about flipping through a gaming magazine that I think the three of us and a lot of other people out there can appreciate. That physical media in the hand. I mean, we talk like at least every other week about physical something in our hands. Physical discs, things like that, and I don't know. I think it'd be nice to kind of have that and just flip through it while you're just watching TV or whatever, and just kind of take you back. So
yeah, support them however you can, just because they're kind of really the only physical magazine that still makes those things. We grew up on Nintendo Power and all of these other different magazines, and really this is it. This is kind of the last one.
Didn't they get cut down to like a really small number of people still working there?
Yeah, there's still like a small amount, but I think a lot of our hopes are that with them doing their own subscription for the magazine, and if they get enough support, maybe they could start to use that money to make it easier on the current people who already have so many jobs in there.
Yeah, of course.
So it depends. Physical media is and even media in general is a dying breed. Yep. So it's just a matter of do enough people support it, and can Game Informer make enough money off of it to survive? It's pretty much how it all goes. We got a new Joker trailer. Any of you guys watch that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting trailer. I'm not sure what to expect from this movie. It's one of those movies where the first Joker is a really good movie in its own right.
Yep.
It really didn't need a sequel, but we're getting one. And sometimes
Yeah. That's what.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. Lady Gaga's probably good at singing, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you watch the first Joker, they show you in the first 10 minutes, like, subscribe to the weird. Like, this is going to be weird. Sit down with your seatbelts and your popcorn and get ready for it. So they got to keep going down, or they can't not go down that route. So
do you think we see Batman in this movie finally?
Ooh, that's a good question.
And would it be
No, I
Robert
don't
Pattinson?
think so. I don't think so.
It would be because this is a different universe, right?
It is, yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the Joker and Robert Pattinson is played by Barry Keoghan.
Yep. Yep.
But I don't know if that's still a thing because he did fall into some trouble
He
or
did.
fall into some drama because he's a weirdo. That's just bad for
Mm.
Barry's all around.
Fair.
Need to have a Barry meeting.
I think it would be cool even if they don't show like a face, like to just have Batman show up or something at the end. You know?
Yeah, have like a batarang
something.
just hit
Mhm.
somewhere, like to end it or something.
And I know this isn't like James Gunn's,
Right.
vision for the entire thing, but if you can just even give like a spotlight of like who may be playing Batman in his, DC connected universe.
Yeah.
So,
Be cool.
yeah, I'm excited to see. We had the Triple I showcase. It kind of was a much bigger deal than I expected, to be honest. We have the Rogue Prince of Persia game coming out, Slay the Spire 2, Hyperlight Breaker, Vampire Survivors coming to PS5 with Contra or Operation Guns DLC, RKGK, which feels a lot like Cyberpunk.
Yep.
If you did see that demo, and then another trailer for the old time animation Mouse game as well.
Yeah.
I didn't
Looks cool.
expect all of these big drops coming from them, but the trailers are substantial and triple I or whether it's triple indie games is what they're going for, triple A. They definitely look like they live up to the hype. I'm interested in especially Hyperlight Breaker.
Yeah. I didn't have much to say. I just thought they all look cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And then big topic this week for many people is Star Wars Outlaws has been said is now coming out on August 30th, and there is a lot of talk. Many of it has to do with people being mad about microtransactions and the early access stuff. So, for example, what's been getting people up in arms is that there is the regular edition at 70, there is the gold edition at 110, which gets you 3 days early and season pass for story content and DLC costumes, and then the ultimate is 130 where you get a digital key art, which I hate that stuff. More skins, the same stuff, and it's got microtransaction people in an uproar.
Yeah. Also, go ahead. No, I was gonna say I don't want it to let it slide as well. That this is another game. I know I'm a big proponent for this. Is gonna be on the Ubisoft Plus service.
Yeah.
So even
the Ultimate Edition is available through it.
Yeah. So like even if you want to pay like what I did for the $18 is it's $18 a month for Prince of Persia, and then I unsubscribed. I'm just gonna do it again for Star Wars because I'm just gonna pay $18. You're gonna beat it in a month, right?
Yeah. And if you don't, it's still what's that? $36.
Yeah. I think that solves all the problems, right?
I think for the most part I would agree.
Unless you're me and finish games 12 months later and just keep
you have to force yourself to play through it if you're gonna do that.
But and you got to remember to cancel it afterward.
Exactly.
Yes. Also, that's how they get you.
So a lot of this has to do with the fact that people are tired of the microtransactions right now going on in gaming.
Yep.
But I did a decent amount of research, and I shouldn't say I did. I want to thank Lawrence Sontag from Inside Games on YouTube. But he had mentioned, and he kind of went through that. One, a lot of what gamers are playing right now are not the games that are coming out today. It's the games from years ago. It's the Apex Legends, it's the Fortnites, it's the live service games that people continuously play and continuously are putting their money into. So, what does Star Wars Outlaws do, and what does Ubisoft do? They decide to make a game, make it so you can get it 3 days early if you pay extra for it, mind you, and then on top of that, story DLC is kind of the bigger talking point here, is going to be available post-launch.
Yep.
I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm going to be honest. I really don't care that people are releasing story DLC at a later point. I know people want their games in a complete package. I get that the big deal is that, well, games are just more expensive. And yes, they are. They're now $70. And now a lot of games now are doing the post-launch DLC that comes out later. But for me, I treat those things as a as a reason to go back to playing the game. Because a lot of the times when I play a game, I don't go back to it after beating it.
Yeah.
Like it has to be Kingdom Hearts for me to go back and play it again. And not every game is Kingdom Hearts. That's for damn sure. And
Are you like that game?
streaming would say so. Streaming would say I've done a decent amount of that. I don't know how you guys feel. Like I get the uproar, but I also don't really care, because if the game's not great, I'm not buying the DLC anyway.
Yeah, Barry, I'm in your boat. I don't really care. What I like about the tiered purchasing options that you have, and wow, that was putting it nicely, tiered purchasing options, is
That's marketing
that
talk.
promises, yeah, right. That promises me that if I like it, I already know that there is some type of DLC that I could later purchase. That's what I like about it. It kind of like, I don't know. I like the era that it sets in. It's in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. That takes me back to when I was a kid. That's what really intrigues me. So what that shows me is that if I'm like enamored with this game, then I'll purchase the episodes separately, or however it's listed to somebody who doesn't like me, who may not want to buy the 109.
Yeah.
That's what it says to me.
Let me be the opposite of the coin. I personally don't mind as much either, but there's certain instances like just this past week they were asking about part 3 of Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Big topic. And they had mentioned, they're like, oh, the main story is pretty much done. We're done. We're just working on the DLC. Like that kind of stuff. When I hear that, I'm just like, okay, you know what I mean? Like if they're like, oh, you know what? Like we're pretty much done with the main game, but we can't release it, like next year. It's going to be like 2 years because we have to work on the DLC next. If you're working on the DLC in that instance, you should put it in the game when it comes out. Right?
Yeah.
So that's my only issue with it. But I also agree that like if I like a game enough, I will go back and play the DLC. But the amount of times I do that is so minimal now. Like I didn't play Horizon, I didn't play God of War. I'm trying to think what other DLCs, but those are two big ones that I was like, nah. Cyberpunk.
Well, the God of War one is free.
Yeah.
On top of that, at least
the Cyberpunk one I didn't play at all. I usually don't.
Yeah, I think the only DLC. Did we all play 16's DLC? We all did.
I have, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
Oh,
okay,
that's what comes out the 18th. That's what I remember
DLC.
now. The Rising Tide DLC.
Now I did play the Final Fantasy 7 DLC, the first game, and I'll probably play the DLC for this one, Rebirth, but that's about it. But it's not bad if I like the game enough. Maybe I just get another month of Ubisoft subscription to play the DLC, because that's
when both the DLCs come out, you'll just buy it then and then
just get it then. Pay $18 and play through all of it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all I had.
Are we excited?
Oh, go ahead.
Are you excited for the game in general?
I am.
Like you guys excited
I
for the game
seen
in general?
enough. I get it's a story-based thing, but I still feel like we haven't seen enough of it. Like we've seen story-based missions, but is it going to be the type of thing that is a lot like, for example, Rebirth, where it's going to be open worlds that you got to travel through? Is it, is it going to feel like a slog? That's going to be the main issue.
Which Ubisoft usually does.
Yes, big slogs.
Their games are notorious for that. Now,
Val freaking Holla.
I enjoyed that they did say that there are no Ubisoft towers in this game, which is nice, because they seem to like to put that in.
That's because they're starships.
Yeah. But I agree with you. If it's like, if I turn it on, I'm like, okay, this is like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I'm probably going to bounce. I
really hope it's not like the Schluter type of thing where I got to change out her gun every 500 kills I get because there's a better one. Like that would just be way too much. I don't like those games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing it has working for it is that date that it comes out, August 30th. There's nothing really around that yet. So that'll be right. That'll be the big release.
We'll still be playing college football though, so
going for my 30th national championship.
Yep. I'm blocking off the rest of the year when that comes out. Let's be honest.
Should be getting gameplay for that next month too.
Yep.
So,
yep. I'm ready.
Let's go.
Closer.
Okay. All right, here's what I got. Ubisoft. Let's stick on the Ubisoft train because that seems like fun. Let's make fun of them some more.
Please.
Are getting accused of stealing. For the Crew. I don't know if you saw this, but they are deactivating the first Crew game, which I do have it on Xbox, and I double checked, and as of right now, I can still play it. But
Okay.
they are starting to shut down servers, and to the point where, like, even if you own the game, you can't access it. So this is another one of those you may have bought the game, but you don't actually own it type deals that everybody's not too thrilled about. But to be honest, how
screw
many
that
people?
stuff.
Yeah, I know it does suck because it's a slippery slope, and I'm not a fan of it. But also at the same time, who is still playing the Crew at
That
this
is
point?
true.
That's a good
You
point.
know, but I get like, maybe 5 years from now, I'm like, oh, I could really play the Crew, but you can't. Like that. That's not a good thing.
Yeah, this is when that buying and not and when you buy digitally, like not physically owning thing, kind of comes into a lot of play here.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. I think I got mine through like the free monthly Xbox games way back when, so it's not like I actually paid for it. But yeah, it is a slippery slope. Another one here, we had a little bit of a leak, so take it with a grain of salt, if you will. Persona 1 and 2 getting remade. Are you excited? Are you not excited? I know those ones aren't really looked back on that fondly, right?
That is correct, but there's a chance to.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a chance. And for people like me that joined at like Persona 5, I love just seeing different gameplay elements that got tweaked when I go back and play the one before the one that brought me on the Atlas train.
True.
You know, it's kind of
You think
fun.
they could? I would assume they would modernize it, right? Maybe use the new engine for 1 and 2.
Yeah. Also, yeah, if I could speak for Barry and myself too, any instance to re-release an Atlas soundtrack with like 5 or 10 additional songs, by the sound team with Lynn or with or without Lynn, like I love her tracks. So like if there's any instance to have that, get Barry another vinyl, the whole 9 yards,
Need more. That's the issue.
Yeah, you don't need more.
I love
okay. We kind of talked about this a little bit, but this also ties into me personally with the Fallout show, is that all the Fallout games just got a massive boost. People are playing them again. I personally reinstalled Fallout 4 and started playing it again. But all of them, Fallout 3, New Vegas, they all have seen a huge intake because of the show, which I think is kind of cool. Maybe some people who didn't play it originally might actually go back and play it. I never beat Fallout 4. I don't know if I will, but I'm at least playing it again. Did you guys beat any Fallout games? Because I haven't.
Nope.
Ever. You don't like them, right, Barry?
Well, Fallout 76, my whole...
That one doesn't count. Yeah, that one doesn't count.
I do like Fallout 4 and Fallout 3, but a problem with me is I just find them a little too slow.
Okay.
Like, I get the whole thing is role-playing for the most part, but just... You get there has to be something, and it's the same problem like that a lot of those games have. Skyrim, Starfield, like they just feel so slow to begin with, and for me it just takes me out of the experience so quickly.
That's fair. Yeah, that's all I had. That's it.
Okay, I don't have a lot. Like I had the Outlaws thing. Another small one that I have is Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. Announced it's going to be running at 30 FPS on Xbox. Now, like this made me think of two things. Number one, Senua's Saga doesn't really need to run at 60 or higher FPS due to the way the game plays. And they were trying to focus on visual fidelity anyway. Right. What made me laugh, though, and not laugh, but think a little harder, though, is this is yet another Xbox exclusive game that was announced to run on 30 FPS when we have frequent discussions about whether the Xbox, well, not us, but the gaming community talks about whether the Xbox Series X versus the PS5 has like, are they the same hardware wise? Like, are they performance hardware wise? But then you have Redfall, you have Senua's Saga, 30 FPS. There was another one. Oh, Starfield, 30 FPS. It's just like can that be a conversation still where people are backing up the Xbox? I know there's a lot of people smarter than me that have an opinion on that, but I thought that was pretty thought provoking, based off of that.
I mean,
I don't know how you guys feel about
I've
it.
said it a million times at this point, but games look better on my PlayStation. I like playing on my Xbox better, but they just look better on my PlayStation.
So yeah, the other thing that I had that I just wanted to briefly talk about, it kind of felt like a humbling experience. So Tekken 8 director Katashiro Harada, he was on this podcast that's name is honestly too long for me to say because I want to get to what he actually said, which is a long quote. But essentially he was talking about games and he was talking about his like upbringing, and he said that his and I'll quote here, in Japan and probably most of the world, my generation is a big one. It makes up a good chunk of the population. This made our society a competitive one. If you applied to a school or to a job, there was always a lot of competition. Because of this, people from my generation prefer definitive outcomes, a clear winner or loser. This applies to folks in or around their 50s. But most young people nowadays are the opposite. They're rarely eager to engage in one-on-one showdowns. Plus, because fighting games, which is what he was talking about specifically, being Tekken 8, pit you by yourself against a single opponent, you have to accept all the responsibility if you lose. You can't blame anyone else. In team-based shooters, when players win, they can say that they've won because of their contributions, but when they lose, it's because they got matched with a lousy team. And I'll end there. There's one more sentence, but you guys get the point. So I read that or heard that, and I was like, wait a minute. Is that why? Because I grew up playing Tekken, Street Fighter, all of those, but I gradually moved out, and I, like a lot of people, moved into team shooters. And I don't like fighting games anymore. Or as much. And like I read that and I was like, is it because of my generation? Like, it gets you thinking, because like, is that the reason I don't like fighting games anymore? I don't know if there's a clear winner or loser. I don't think it's directly because I can have somebody to blame it on. But I thought that was very interesting. I don't know what you guys think of that, but he's calling out essentially everybody, including people who play fighting games because they also play team shooters.
I mean, I don't play fighting games really much either, but like when I play Call of Duty, I usually play free for all. But that's because that reason. I'm like, okay, I feel like I can more control the outcome better if I'm like it's literally just on me. But yeah, I don't really play fighting games at all. I never thought that could be the reason. Maybe it is.
Maybe it's subconscious.
See, like for me, when it comes to it, like it's just that fighting game stories aren't that like intriguing to me. I don't play online because I'll be honest, I suck.
Yeah,
I suck at online fighting games. Learning combos was just not built into the system. That's just the way it is, and if I took time to learn it, I probably could. But it's just a lot of the times the story modes in fighting games just feel a little lackluster, and it just doesn't grab me. Like I have to have a connection with these characters in order to want to play as them.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, you know what I think it is too? Fighting games back in the day were in collection of a higher caliber than a lot of other games. Back in the day, there was a lot of different ideas being thrown at the wall to see if they stick. But if you think Street Fighter, if you think Tekken, Mortal Kombat, they all nailed it, and they were a high quality game for a long time. You also, when you're at that age, and I'm talking now about us specifically, we had a lot of time to kill. You had what, at 45 minutes to an hour of homework. Gradually that fluctuates as you get older. I had time to learn the combos. And I was playing a high quality game if it was, one of those ones that I was speaking of. Nowadays, I'm like trying to sneak in an hour before my next responsibility as an adult. I don't have time to master, King's combos so that I can be relatively comparable when I'm playing online or something like that.
We're learning frame data. That's the biggest thing right now. It's like frame data.
I think what you were literally got what I was going to say. It was just growing up, like fighting games didn't have story really, and it didn't matter. the time thing was huge, but also was for me it was the money thing. So like I always look at like Soul Blade was the first fighting game that I really got into on PlayStation 1. And I got into it because I bought the game and that's all the money I had. And I wouldn't get another game until I saved up another $50, which was usually a couple months, doing whatever my chores were, or like I mowed the lawn with my friend. But I spent so much time in that. And even though there wasn't a story, seeing the little videos at the end when you beat with a certain character was enough. And
Yeah.
because that was like, oh, this is my newest game and it's summertime, so I'm going to play it for 4 hours a day over and over and over again. I just,
Yeah.
I do not have the time or really the desire. There's too many games coming out, and I feel like I want to play all of them. The idea of getting another fighting game and putting 200 hours into it just sounds awful to me. I just don't want to do it.
Well said. But that's all I had. I thought it was funny.
All right. Next up, we'll get into games this week then, and I'm not gonna lie, guys, I haven't been playing anything new.
Just Final Fantasy.
Just trying to get through Final Fantasy a little bit more. It was Blue and White weekend, so it was time to spend with my dad.
Yeah. Of course.
I'm having a hard time focusing after Final Fantasy. It's just kind of an after effect. I did play Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I started playing through the Mega Man collection to relive my childhood. So I'm playing all the Mega Man games.
Sick.
And then I played some Hot Wheels Unleashed too.
Ooh, okay.
That's it.
I think you're going to be driving this, Craig. That was a Hot Wheels reference. Nice. Because I'm backlogging. Okay. I've been kind of comboing Persona 3 Reload with Final Fantasy 12 back and forth, and I've been not clicking on the icon on Dragon's Dogma on my computer. That's what I've been doing. I'm gonna have Final Fantasy done. I promise this podcast and the people listening and watching that I will have it done definitely before Stellar Blade. Definitely.
Well, Barry have it done before.
I was about to say, well, I have it done before you. That's going to be the next.
How many hours do you have in?
20.
You got about 20? 60 or 70 to go.
Yeah, I know.
Unless you mainline it.
It's not going to take.
Well, give me a chapter. What chapter are you in?
I actually couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Fair. Are you still enjoying it though?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
June on part is weird though. That was weird.
Yeah. You guys just cooled on it. Craig, you cooled on it like real quick.
I don't know what it was, man. I think I got inundated with where I was because chapter 12, I'm still doing these. I want to do what you did, the side missions, but not all the mini games and like having. Yeah, so I just need to clear those out. I only have 1 or 2 regions left.
So it's going good though. Still enjoying the story at least. Okay. So Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Here's my issue.
Okay, here we go.
I don't think I should have played it after playing Final Fantasy.
Okay, I can see that.
Because everything I'm seeing, it's not a bad game, but everything I'm seeing, I'm just like, man, Final Fantasy did this better, right? Because I'm like, the voice acting, Final Fantasy is better. The combat, to me, Final Fantasy is better. Because they're similar, right?
Yeah.
They're very similar. I'm just having a hard time with it. And I think it's just because I can't separate. Like, I just played this amazing game in Final Fantasy. Now I'm playing a game that's kind of the same thing. And I'm just like, it's just not the same caliber to me.
You're going through the Persona 5 Royal withdrawal is what that is. Craig and I know the feeling.
Right. So I just think I played it at the wrong time. So I think what I'm going to do is go back to it at a later date, maybe like end of the year, and see if it changes for me. Because like I played the intro, I started playing like first couple hours, and I'm just like, this isn't doing it for me. And I could also just be burned out on that type of game.
Yeah.
Which would explain why I'm like jumping around. Like I just can't like I'll go and play some Fallout 4 and then I'm playing Sekiro and then I'm like jumping all around just because I'm like there's no new games. So I'm like I don't want to focus in on anything too much. It's kind of nice and just kind of playing whatever this past week or so. The Mega Man collection's been great. I played through the first 3. I'm surprised I still remember like which boss is weak to which as I'm going through and playing them.
Ooh, nice.
But yeah, those are a great time. That's another game that's like, if you die, that's on you, right? Because like those games are hard. They don't mess around. And Hot Wheels Unleashed too. I like the first Hot Wheels game a lot. They're just a fun racer, man. With like the tracks are amazing. I always like. There's like a mini golf one. There's one like your standard inside a house, and it's just fun to play through. There's like 10,000 Hot Wheels cars you can choose from, and I think that's kind of the downfall too, is because there's so many, and if you want to collect them all, you're really gonna have to spend probably real world money to get them. But it has that little slot wheel, which everybody loves in racing games, right? And it handles well. Like it's a good arcade racer. It's on Game Pass, so you don't even have to buy it. You can just download it. I've been having a ton of fun with that one. So I'm going between Hot Wheels and Mega Man right now. Still playing some show, MLB The Show, hitting some dingers.
Of course, hitting some dingers.
But I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm really just like, when's college football coming out? Because like I need to play that now.
You should be going when is Stellar Blade coming out. Which
I'm not as excited as you guys are for that. But
I think it's going to be stellar.
I did play less of Sekiro this week because I was getting annoyed. And I was like, oh my God, this game.
Sekiro has a weird way of getting under my skin better than other Souls games.
Yeah.
It's the most annoying, like highly executed game. Like it's a great game. Yeah. There's a lot of things you could say about it that are amazing things, but it is annoying.
It's cheap. Yeah. I think that's the problem, right? Like there's very few times that like I'll face somebody and then like I'll get hit in the back. Like that doesn't happen. It happens like 95% of the time. Unless you slowly, sneak around for an hour to clear out an area. And the bosses are tough.
Oh, the bosses. Yeah, that's what.
The bosses quite memorable.
You can say it's not your fault in this game, but like I'd say some of these bosses are BS. Like,
yeah, they are.
Yeah, some of it's absolutely not your fault.
I really do feel like sometimes I'm just like, I got to take a break because I'm going to throw my controller.
There's a lot of them with multiple forms, and you know what happens a lot in that game? You have the first form memorized down to a T, almost not losing any health, and then. But like you have to get to the second and third continuously to memorize that. So you die, and you just get more frustrated. And then you start messing up on the first form because you're so frustrated because you know what I mean? It's just it's a vicious cycle.
Good game though, just obnoxious.
Yeah.
And then I guess that's it for games this week. Now I think about it. Yeah. I should have something there's a demo that came out for Saga Beyond Emerald or Emerald Beyond. Okay. I downloaded the demo today for it. It's apparently quite the lengthy demo.
Okay.
Also, just as a forewarning, we may not make it past. My lights are flickering. I'm surprised I'm still online. I'll be honest. It is. Yeah. It is storming outside, so
it's quite calm over here.
Yeah. Well, you'll get it.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Yep.
It's coming south. But no, there's no good transition for South in movies, is there? No. You guys have one?
South by Southwest Film Festival.
There we go. Yeah.
I don't think
we roll right into films. Yep. Films and TV shows. I am also done with the first episode of Fallout because I started watching that. I finished Invincible, and we probably won't talk about it until it's finished, but the X-Men 97 series, holy crap, is it good.
I got the first 2 episodes of Fallout, like I said, and then I watched 2 movies, Wicked Little Letters and not the game, but Sleeping Dogs.
Okay. I realized that I haven't talked about Quiet on this set, but the 5th episode of that series just came out. So I watched that, and I could just talk about the series thus far. Did I talk about Ricky Stenicki? I feel like I watched it around when I was sick.
Think you did.
I know.
I watched. That was what I was going to talk about when I got sick. That one podcast that I wasn't on, so I'll talk about that too. But I haven't seen anything besides those 2 things that are new.
Fair.
You think Fallout has room in our top 5 top 10 TV shows. How do you feel about it so far?
Good to see how it goes. I like what I see so far. I think they're doing a good job of translating game to show, just like Twisted Metal did. I think
Yeah.
they do, but there's more. Like with Fallout, you have this like infinite wealth of ideas that you can make into a
Mm-hmm.
TV show, unlike Twisted Metal. But I think that all the characters work. Um, yeah, I mean, I really like it.
Yeah. Yeah, this definitely has potential to be up there with
Yeah.
some of the other the live action gaming
Mm-hmm.
shows that we have, some of the better ones. How
Uh,
I haven't seen how it ends yet, but all indications point to that it keeps with the fun
Yeah.
of the first episode here, and we'll get to it and see. But I am pleasantly surprised. Anything Todd Howard related, I tend to view in the worst way possible, and I
Same.
guess to Todd Howard's benefit, not that he has too much to do with this. It's probably not really a lot of him
Yeah.
either, but it's enjoyable, and it's actually just downright good, and that's just me, and that's despite the fact that I dislike Fallout so much.
I think there's in the second episode there was a moment that for me kind of cemented it, and it was if you've played Fallout, you obviously know like the VAT system where you
Yeah,
slow down time to aim, and like they don't use like percentages like you see in the game, but they do a scene where a character basically uses it and is like shooting a whole bunch of people, and you get that same like shoot somebody in the head and their head just like explodes like it does in Fallout, or like their arm just like explodes and they just like have a stump. And I was like, you know what, like they didn't have to do that, but they did it so well. I was like, that is like a mirror of the game, and it works incredibly well. So I think that was the moment where I was like, they do have something special here.
can I get a barometer
Yep.
check? Where so it am I safe to think that it may not have the Last of Us effect that last
I
year
don't think it's
did?
that good.
But like Craig, for you, is it better than Twisted Metal, but not as good as Last of Us? If we could
Yeah.
think video game
Yeah.
depictions.
I also
Okay.
think we have to see how the ending and the rest of the show
Yeah,
goes
so
before.
far, yes. I really like Twisted
Yeah.
Metal,
Sorry. Early
but
thoughts.
yes, I think the Fallout show is a higher quality than Twisted Metal
Okay.
was.
Which it is being funded by the endless
Yeah.
money fund that is Bezos. So
It is.
Yeah.
But then let's see here. I'm just trying to think because I did talk about Invincible. The ending is wild. Uh, it kind of it definitely still cements itself as one of the better like animated hero shows that we have going on right now. I just want to mention too, like Mark is such. I feel like Mark is boring in this season. I think you guys, if you decide to watch it, will see it too. I had so much fun learning about the other characters, Mark's mom, Eve, and the rest of the new, Justice League type, Justice Hall of Heroes type thing, where they Immortal comes back. We have
Mm.
Rexplosion, who has a much bigger part of this as well, and a character who I kind of hated, Rexplosion, is kind of comes back and is a little bit more relevant.
It's
Also,
still on my
yeah,
list.
but also multi dimensions. It's just like it's the thing everybody goes to at this point is you're a superhero, you got superheroes, you got multi-dimensional, warfare, so to be.
Fair. What else? Is that all you watched? Just those two?
Well, I was about to say, yeah, because there was X-Men 2, and like the next, this episode is huge.
Huge.
That came out,
Yeah.
but I just feel like it's probably best to save it for
till
when
it's
the
done.
entire series, is done.
Yeah, we could do that. Do like a little side, not a whole episode, but like spend some time on it. I think.
Yeah,
How many episodes is this slated to have?
I don't even know.
I think 8.
8.
I don't know why I always assume like animated shows will have like 20 episodes.
It's usually 8 or usually, and well, it used to be like that, but now because of budgeting, they tend to be 8 or 12. And I can double check here and take a look to see what it's supposed to be.
Episode count 10.
Okay, 10.
Yep.
Darn it! Of course, I said every other number but 10.
That's fair. Yeah, I think we We talk about that once it's over. It's a great show though. Okay. Wicked Little Letters. Another movie that I would have never watched if I wasn't watching literally everything that comes out. Um, but I am glad I did. This was a good. This is set in, I believe it's Ireland. I believe. I could be wrong. It is based on a true story, and it's, I don't know the time frame, but it's not modern. And it has to do with, there is somebody going around putting very profane letters in people's mailboxes for them to read, and I mean like insanely profane. Um,
Oh
and
wow.
at the time, like, like you would open a letter and read that, and it's not like today where you would laugh it off. It's like a huge deal. It's kind of like a comedy slash drama. Um and I don't want to give like too much away. It's kind of a, like, you're trying to figure out who's doing it. It has a very big issue with, there's a female police officer who is trying to figure it out, but at that time female police officers aren't allowed to do any detective work, so she's kind of doing it on her own. um, there is a woman who is accused. Whether or not she did it, I will leave up to you if you watch it, but like, it's just kind of like, you believe a man's word over a woman's word type of deal. um, but
Mm.
it is extremely funny, and I thought it was very, very good. So I would definitely recommend Wicked Little Letters. I don't want to like give away a lot, because the whole point is trying to figure out like who is doing this.
Yeah, the
But the
whodunit.
letters are hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Like the stuff that they're saying. I won't
I
repeat
bet.
them here, but they they're very hilariously profane. Um, and then Sleeping Dogs. I wish it was the movie based on the game. Not terrible. This is a Russell Crowe is a retired detective who is called to, I guess, meet with somebody who he helped put away on death row, who is now saying that he didn't do it. The twist here is that Russell Crowe has onset dementia, so he doesn't remember anything. And his whole thing is
Oh.
like, all around his house, he has stuff written so that, like, when he walks up to it or wakes up in the morning and he doesn't remember, it'll be like, this is your name. Kind of like if you watch Memento back in the day. It's kind of like
Yeah.
that. So he's trying to figure out this mystery while at the same time not remembering anything that he did up to that point. It's a very cool concept. I love Memento, so of course I'm like, oh, I'm in. I wouldn't say it's like the best movie in the world, but it's a solid rainy day outside watch. We'll say that.
Oh, there you go.
So check
Okay.
that one out, Sleeping Dogs as well. So both of them are actually, I didn't do too bad this week. Nothing that I was like, oh my god, this is terrible. I
No, no night
no,
swim.
I do have Dune Part 2 queued up for this week, so we'll see how that goes.
Craig, you sure you don't want to rewatch Night
No,
Swim?
never again. I'm gonna forget that movie exists.
I love that we both hated it. All right, so I'll go with the oldest one first, I guess technically, because I should have talked about it already a couple of weeks ago. But Ricky Stenicki. I'm going to echo a lot of the things that Craig said, so this is not going to be a long review, but it is funny as
Mm-hmm.
crap. Um, it's really funny. It reminds me of like I mean, I can't compare it directly to The Hangover, but the buddy comedy in there is like, it just reminds me of The Hangover. Um, the brief synopsis again is just three child best friends grow up and three childhood best friends when they were young used to blame everything that they did wrong and were caught on a person named Ricky Stenicki, who is a person that does not exist, and they do that into their adulthood. And they are very crafty at using Ricky Stenicki in their adulthood to avoid major things. Like if you don't want to go to a baby shower, Ricky Stenicki has cancer again. And they actually start the movie off like that. So they're all three of them are
Yep.
married or at least have a significant
Yep.
other. Um and it's all about them essentially their significant others want to meet Ricky Stenicki for the first time, and then they have to hire John Cena character to play Ricky Stenicki, and they have an entire book that has his lore of like what he's done, who he has been. So it's a very interesting comedy. John Cena's character is hilarious. He really takes it and tries to own that character. And it's just, I don't know. I know John Cena's got like he's kind of polarized right now, based off of what he's been doing funny wise. But I enjoy his comedy, and you can see how he's kind of transitioned into that aspect of his acting career. So it's great. Zac Efron is classic Zac Efron in it. The other guy, Craig, Andrew Santino, is pretty freaking
Yeah,
funny.
he is hilarious.
Really funny.
He's pretty freaking like I don't know a lot of his stuff or what he's been in, but that was the showstopper for me was that guy. So I recommend watching it. It's on Prime Video still, I believe. I don't think they took it
it'll
off
be
yet,
on Prime
but
Video for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, definitely a fantastic movie. And then the other one is Quiet on Set, Dark Side of Kids TV. Pretty talked about right now, so I'm probably not blowing anybody's mind with like the fact that it exists, but I recommend anybody who grew up with Nickelodeon watch it. So essentially, what it mainly highlights, well, it's got a couple of different things, but one of them is the rise and fall of Dan Schneider, who you've probably seen in the news, or if you watch YouTube at all, somebody that you like who does YouTube's talked about them maybe. The rise and fall of his reign over his shows that he's created. It also kind of goes into the lack of safety around kids in television, mainly focusing on the shows that were under Dan Schneider's rule. And then a bunch of people who inappropriately touched a lot, actors, young kid actors in that time frame, really centering in on Brian Peck specifically. There are others that are shown in there. What I liked is it brought a bunch of different All That specific, because that's one of the shows they mainly focused on. All That specific actors who have now grown up really came forward and were able to tell their story about how they were either not put in, or I guess put in harm's way, so to speak, but also how they were inappropriately looked at, or there's also touches of racism. There's a bunch of different topics going on. Long story short, Nickelodeon, and more specifically Dan Schneider, were not nice to these kids as a whole, as an overall. So the big name that came out was Drake Bell. He had a whole episode centered around him. But one of the things, and I don't know, I grew up, All That for me, to show you how All That was specific to me. Sorry, mom and dad, I know you're watching, but I was not allowed to watch All That in my house for a certain amount of my childhood. It was like in like the 9-10 area. My mom thought necessarily it was more like filth.
Yeah.
She didn't. It's one of those. You're not advancing intelligently by watching this.
True.
So for me, and this is kind of me, I guess, outing my best friend Scott in what I was doing at his place. But anytime I went to my best friend Scott's, I got to watch All That.
Scott in so much trouble.
I did. So Scott, if you're out there, I know you're watching as well. Sorry, man. But anytime I got to go to Scott's place was when I got to watch All That, which was typically sleepovers on Saturday night. So I got to watch All That and Keenan and Kel, Amanda's show later on. So when I was watching that, I don't remember having this, because there's a lot of things that they go into about Dan Schneider's humor. Foot humor that's not necessarily right. Specific things that I can't go into depth on here, but mainly adult based humor that was like just pummeled into kids' jokes that they didn't know that they were actually even doing adult humor because they're kids. And as I'm watching this, I'm like, holy cow, wow. They were showing old sketches that I still remember because I just rewatched those to death. And I'm like, oh my God, that was an adult joke.
I think it just went over our heads.
It did. And because it's performed by child actors, their form of comedy is what made us laugh. The kid doing it in the wacky, crazy kid thing that, we all do when we're kids to laugh. So it's kind of mind blowing. I think everybody should kind of take a look at it. Kids, adults who had kids that were watching Nickelodeon at that time, or people like myself, Craig, Barry, who were watching Nickelodeon when we were younger and have now grown into adults. You know, it's kind of, it's eye opening, but it's great to center around keeping kids safe while they're in Hollywood, you know? So I recommend it. It's a pretty heavy watch, by the way. So don't it's not a 6 p.m. at the family dinner table watch, you know. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to peep a couple of episodes, but it's pretty
Not
great.
yet, because I haven't. I've been like, it's on my list, and I was like, I'm not really want to get into that yet. You know,
I don't know if I will. One thing I will say is I like your mom's idea. Like, I'll be honest, like looking back at that stuff, it was just filth.
It
Like,
was. My parents were the same way.
I'm pretty sure my brain is rotted from watching that stuff. I'm due financial compensation for the fact that they've destroyed my brain at such a young age.
Yep.
I didn't have necessarily any watch stuff on it, but I look back at that stuff now, like you see highlights of it, you know, now as a 29-year-old, and I'm like, this stuff was stupid. Like,
yep.
No, it's funny you say that too. I mean, I dragged my parents to the Good Burger movie because of all that, you know. So I don't know. Interesting. Watch it. Don't watch it, but the message definitely is there, and there's a lot of people talking about it still to this day right now.
It's been an issue in Hollywood for a long, long time.
It has.
Yeah, grow up on telenovelas, and it's a whole different world out there for me, man.
Better or worse?
I think better. I don't know.
Yeah.
I will say there's just drama. The whole world is just drama. I guess that's what I learned from telenovelas is that there's a plot. There's a single thread in life that then connects and frays into 17 other threads.
Yep. It prepared you.
But the way this thread ends is that the podcast ends.
Yes.
So we do appreciate everybody for listening. I'm going to wrap this up just because Craig, did you hear the storm? Can you hear it now too?
I can hear it now. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, it's coming and we don't know when we're going to lose power. And I'm just happy to have a podcast to put out.
Yes.
So thank you everybody for listening. Please make sure to like, follow, subscribe, whatever audio listening platform you choose to listen to us on. Please make sure to leave a review so that we get recommended more to other people. And if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe. We reached 50 subscribers. There's 50 people.
Let's go.
There's 50 people subscribed.
Thank you,
us.
guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can't believe there's 50.
Thank you, everyone.
It's the small milestones we got to appreciate. Don't worry, these 50, I'll remember you. If we ever get there,
I'll remember each of you individually by name.
I'll remember each of you. Each and every one.
I will absolutely give back to the 50 of you that are here.
Barry's going to get each one of your names tattooed on his leg.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, sure. That's what I'll do.
I'll do it. Don't tempt him with a good time.
But again, thank you everybody for watching / listening, and we will see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Bye, guys.